on the inside? Hi, I'm Roque. Matt?
Hello, I'm Phil Drake.
Phil, my pleasure.
Paul.
Paul. One Matt. I already met you.
Tom.
Tom.
Nice to meet you.
CT, 2-piece. It was gorgeous outside, guys.
First time in Montana?
Nope. I've been snowmobiling in Montana many times. It's you have a beautiful country. It's gorgeous.
San Diego's nice too. I've been to San Diego.
But it all depends what time of the year. But you do have a beautiful. I love skiing in Jackson Hole, and of course you just move over to Montana and then you're snowmobiling, and it's gorgeous. You have beautiful horses here.
Well,
It's gorgeous. I love sports.
where do you like to go?
Well, the part that I've been in Montana is the Idaho. And that's the closest place to Jackson Hole. So I have a friend of mine that has a house in Jackson Hole, and then he bought a huge ranch in Montana. So that's where we how do you call it? Enjoy the horses and snowmobiles. Very nice. But now I've been to Helena. I love your airport. Nice and small and gorgeous. The only thing I did not like was the price of commercial planes. You guys have to pay, but maybe you guys like it that way, so you don't get that many people coming this way. You have to look at it from that perspective.
It's a shorter time, good for the security, so maybe there's a premium for that.
Well, actually, it's that's common sense. Let's talk about common sense for a second. My favorite president was Ronald Reagan, and at that time, when I voted for Ronald, they had just changed the law to 55 miles an hour, which was, I thought, the dumbest law in the world. Here we had these beautiful freeways that said 65 miles an hour, 70 were posted.
No speed limit here?
I'm aware of that. You did it before Ronald Reagan, you had.
Yeah.
And you did. Trust me, they passed this law at 55 miles an hour all over the world, all over the United States. And it was ridiculous. And Ronald Reagan said in one of his speeches, the first thing I want to do when I become president, I want to make sure that we do not have a stupid 55-mile law. And he did keep it. At the end of his first term, he was able to change it back to the way it was. And of course, you guys, when you go into outside, I thought you could go only up to 80, but you said no speed limit.
No, once upon a time we had no speed limit here.
Okay.
Before the 74.
And then you got stuck with a 55.
Yeah.
Okay. So imagine being in Colorado and Montana, and or in some parts of Texas, and being forced to drive 55 miles an hour. Whoever came up with that concept, hopefully he's no longer alive. So we need to have some common sense. But I don't know, you were going to ask me a question outside, so I'll let you go first.
I appreciate that. So based on what you said prior to our press conference and your opening statement, is the primary mission of your campaign to disrupt enough to force an action in the House of Representatives?
Well, first of all, I do not like the two options. We all saw this movie called Dumb and Dumber. And in this particular case, if you take a look at the top two candidates, I don't know who is dumb or who is dumber or vice versa. I do not believe that if we happen to get Red chosen, I think it would be a disgrace for all Americans and around the world. I think he would be one of the worst.
As in Donald Trump.
That's correct. And at the same token, if we happen to have Queen Hillary, we're going to get a queen that's not going to be able to govern. She's going to be indicted for the 4 years, and she's not going to be able to lead this nation anywhere. And I believe she's going to be thinking about how to get more money to her foundation. And maybe she will get rid of more emails. So the question is, we do not happen to have two good choices. What I came to offer to Montana is an option to make you famous more than you already are between your citizens. Imagine if Montana happens to select, there's only 5 people on the ballot, only 5. Of course, you know the top 2, who doesn't? And 60% of the people that know them do not like one or the other. And between themselves, they're the most disliked candidates in the history of the world. So imagine if Montana decides, yes, we want to vote for Rocky. We want to show a difference. We have somebody that has logic, respect, common sense, and dignity. More importantly, dignity. And he respects the other human beings. All of a sudden, your 3 electorate votes will make history around the world, because that means that you're independent thinkers, you're smart enough, you are wise enough to be able to read newspaper, news, internet, social media. And in that moment, those three electric votes happens. Now, what happens if all of a sudden, we know that New York and we know California will go blue. We know Texas and probably Florida will basically go red. And all of a sudden, Hillary gets to 269 votes, one vote short of winning. And Trump happens to get, let's say, 260. So automatically, they're 11 electoral votes short. 3 of them belong to Montana. So Montana was one of the persons that made that difference. If New Mexico is given to Gary Johnson, since he happened to be governor, if we give Utah to Evan McMillan, okay, let's say that the beautiful people of Montana says, well, we only got 5 choices. Out of the 5 choices, maybe we like some other candidate, but Rocky is the only one that's managed to do the effort and get that 5,000 Montanas to sign the petition to put him on the ballot. So if I'm honored to have Montana, we got 3 votes. What would happen? All of a sudden, every state gets 1 vote. So Montana would be just as strong as the 55 electors in California, or just as strong as the 39 electors in New York, or the 29 in Florida. And you'll see how much lobbying there'll be. What do you want, Montana? So you would be able to choose your vote. So your vote will become so important, because what I would predict at that moment is that Hillary will start with 23 states. Trump will start basically with 21. And then all of a sudden, there will be, once they have complete impasse, what would happen is what happens in chess, stalemate. And then there's opportunity, like it happened in 1824, that the third person that got into the option gets elected president. Imagine what type of signal would Montana's be sending to the world that all of a sudden the United States, the people, chose the president and not the blue or the red.
But you won't be president.
Why not?
Well, I mean, Republicans and Democrats are in the House of Representatives.
I disagree. That's not the way it works. The way it basically works, if Montana happens to have chosen me, I get 3 electoral votes, and assuming that now I have Montana's votes. Now, all of a sudden, if all of a sudden you have 23 votes for red or 23 for blue on that particular, none of them happen to get to 26. So you have a stalemate. So now all of a sudden California says, well, Rocky was born in California. He's in San Diego. He does business in over 40 cities in California. We Californians want to give him that vote because the people in California were spoken, and those people that are in the House of Representatives says, wait a minute, if we go against the people, I might get ousted. So they'll be thinking for their own neck. Then I go to Texas. Texas, I came 3rd in the Democratic Party in Texas. I make more logical sense. At that time, I have more media attention. So then I'm able to take Texas away from Hillary. Then New York says, wait a minute, we don't like Hillary. And even though we gave it to Hillary, I want to go with Rocky. At that moment, then you have every state is their own. So Kansas has an issue, has become important. Nebraska becomes important. And who was able to create this? It all started with Montana throwing the first rock. Montana saying yes. The Rocky Mountain starts in Canada. The minute they cross the border, my name happens by pure coincidence. Since the day I've been born, I've been Rocky. I didn't steal the name. It's my name. My father had it 30 years before me. I'm Rocky. And I happen to be here in Montana where the Rocky starts when they enter the United States. So I have a Rocky strategy. I don't know if we have this one. If you take a look at this Rocky strategy, follow me for a second. Here's my prediction of technically a hypothetical transaction. I mean, this does not have to happen this way. But here's my predictions. Every state you see there in blue, my prediction is that that state is already owned and controlled by the Democrats. The chances of having anything change is non-existent. At the same token, the ones in red, and I did make a couple of assumptions, giving Ohio, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida to Donald Trump. In this particular case, there's a complete stalemate. Then it came up, and I did not put my name Rocky, I put the Rockies. Okay, so don't baptize it with my name. And I came up with a Rocky strategy, and I came up with those states. And what did I do? Oops. Okay. Okay, and what did did I do? Here's the strategy basically in the middle. New Mexico, even though 40% of New Mexico happens to be Hispanic, I'm Hispanic, I gave that to Gary Johnson. Why did I give that to Gary Johnson, who was the governor of New Mexico? Let's give him Arizona too. What happens, who do I give Utah to? Utah, Evan happens to be Mormon. He studied in Utah, so I gave that one to Lou. Colorado, let's give it, there's a lot of candidates in Colorado, and let's give Colorado to Jill Stein. So all of a sudden, here you have the Fabulous Five, the underdogs, each one of us concentrating. I will tell the people in Arizona, please vote for Gary. Hopefully Gary will tell the people in Nevada, please vote for Nevada. In Montana, I will let you be independent and make you make your own choice. And hopefully of the 5 candidates, you pick me. But what has to happen is we need to have the 5 candidates come up with a strategy where we can create this type of a strategy. And if we're able to pick 2 or 3 other states within the Brown, and they become basically Gary Johnson state or Jill Stein state or an Evans state or a Rocky state, we will not give them the 272 win to the red or to the blue. And at that moment, each state will become so important that automatically we will tell the world that we Americans are free thinkers. And just like I was talking a few minutes ago with speed limits, in Montana it used to be, as you stated to me, quote, no speed limit. Then somebody in the federal government said, aha, 55 for all of you. That was the dumbest and the stupid conclusion that we got stuck with for about a decade. And it took a great president, Ronald Reagan, to say people are complaining about the speed limit in Colorado, in Montana, in Texas, and in California. And it took a precedent to make it a precedential issue to allow us to drive about 55 miles an hour. Well, the same thing it takes to have logical sense. We no longer need to be dependent on oil. We need to create millions and millions of jobs. We need to be able to have healthcare that's affordable or free to all Americans. We need to have education so we're able to prosper. And we need to make sure that we get paid the right amount of money for our work. We need somebody that knows what it is to make a payroll. I have made a payroll every week for the last 42 years. I know what it is if you do not pay an employee on time. I know what it is when you have to hire or fire somebody. I do not like to be like Donald Trump who says you're fired. Every person has a job to do in this world. I like to be where he fires them. I like to be outside the door and offer those people an opportunity. We have basically forgot about our homeless, okay? We throw billions and billions of dollars around the world, and we do not give them. We forgot about our military. We forgot about our veterans. And our Social Security, folks, just tell me what part of this government is broken, or vice versa, which one works. I will guarantee you that everything you talk about this government, I don't care if it's Social Security, Veterans Administration, homeless, I don't care if you're talking the IRS, everything is broken, folks, because there's not one single person with common sense. Once they get to the office, they don't care. I believe that basically if we elect, in this case, the red, I think he can get us into World War III, World War IV, and he'll insult the whole world, and it'll take us 40 to 50 years to recover from the disaster that that man can make. And if we happen to elect Queen Hillary, she's basically not going to be able to govern. So the United States is going to be, not be in a good eye. And when we travel around the world, either to Canada, to Mexico, or anywhere in the world, we're not going to be proud Americans. We are the strongest and most successful nation in the world. Let's start by electing the right leader. I basically decided to come to Montana. The proof is in the pudding. Actions speak louder than words. I'm here because Montana can make a huge difference. Basically, 250,000 Montanans voted in the primary. 250,000. If you take a look at the 250,000 that voted, there was basically 120,000 of them that did not vote for Donald or for Hillary. I expect this election 500,000 Montanans to go to the polls. You can make a difference. You want to make history, pick one that's not red or blue. And if you decide that to go to my page, Rocky2016.com, and you see my values, my family values, my respect, my dignity, and you think I could basically become a good leader, don't waste your vote on red or blue. And tell the media, not this media, because you guys are here and I do respect you and I want to thank you for being here today.
But some of the media in New York, some of the media in Los Angeles, they believe there are only two candidates. Folks, there's other people that done the effort, the hard work to be able to qualify. It's not easy to get 5,000 petitions to qualify to be in Montana election. Why would anybody want to waste their time getting 5,000 petitions in Montana? If all of a sudden it's going to be a red state or a blue state, what's the point? Well, I think it's important because it's a matter of a strategy. It's called the Rocky strategy. And those 3 electoral votes are very important. Make history for Montana. Tell the whole world where Montana is, and tell them that you're free thinkers and 100% independent.
Do you think the vast majority of voters know your name, know who you are?
Depending where. Because I was in the primaries in 40 states and in six territories, the Democrats had the opportunity to vote for me in the primaries. So that got a lot of attention. If you Google my name, you will find something very interesting. There's 14 million articles with my name on it. In news articles, there's about 16,000. Okay, so there's a lot of attention. If you go to Alexa, which is an Amazon company, dictates which web page are there. Today I broke ground. My web page today is visited more times than Bernie Sanders' web page. Today we passed Bernie Sanders. My web page is more important than many, many states. So today there's a lot of people that know about it. Maybe you have not, but now you do. Maybe maybe the people in Montana do not, but they will, because they will see my name on the ballot. And a responsible voter, once they see that there's 5 options, they says, wow, I heard of Jill Stein, I heard of Gary Johnson, but who's this guy that has name De La Fuente? Wow, interesting word. I wonder if he speaks Spanish or he speaks French. Okay, who is he? You go to my page and you read about me. I'm assuming that all of you, at least before you came here today, spent at least some time trying to find out what my values are. But I believe that Montana, even though we're 12 days from the election, I believe with social media, with this type of a press conference, with your media taking this, especially since no other candidate is coming here for the general. Now, let me give you my prediction. I bought some media in Montana, plus the free press that I'm getting here today. I will guarantee you that within the next 2 weeks, the Reds and the Blues will spend some money in Montana. They're not going to let me be the only person that gets to talk to you. And they're not going to be the only ones that are going to let me spend some money in Montana. I hope they're asleep, but they won't. Because in the primary, I really did a huge effort in Puerto Rico, and I did a huge effort in American Samoa. Nobody paid attention to Puerto Rico. Nobody paid attention to American Samoa until I did. And at the last minute, they scrambled. And they basically had a video of Sanders and a video of Hillary in American Samoa. So I'm positive that they're going to notice. They're going to notice that I'm in Montana. They're going to notice that I'm here in Helena. And they're going to notice that I'm making an effort for the Rocky strategy. And they're going to look at this map because it's in my webpage. And they're going to look at this map because you're going to cover it. And they're going to say, wow, how can somebody is a free thinker and come up with a strategy that can give America a Hail Mary? Why Hail Mary? If you're playing American football and then all of a sudden you see that you're losing by 6 points and you got less than a minute left, everybody says, I hope they do a Hail Mary and I hope they catch the ball at the other end of that field. Folks, we need a couple of Hail Marys between now and November 8th. And with you, thank you for coming. I appreciate that. With you telling the people in Montana they can make a difference. And then I want those 3 electoral votes from Montana. And let me clarify, I don't want them. I want to earn them. And I want the people in Montana to give it an effort. Because we cannot afford, this great country cannot afford to pick between the 2 candidates that the Reds offered us or the Blue offered us.
For your strategy to work, wouldn't you need buy-in from the other third-party candidates? And what kind of buy-in do you have?
Let's go mathematical. First of all, there's a possibility. Let me give you the 1 in a million shot. Trump gets 269 votes. Hillary gets 269 votes, and Montana gives me the 3 votes. We just created a stalemate. So even with one simple strategy of one state, it works. Now, let's make it more probable.
that is a long shot for it to be tied at 269. But if we take the nine votes in New Mexico, is that a 9? That's a 5. If we take the 5 votes in New Mexico and we give those 5 votes to Gary Johnson, why Gary Johnson? He was governor 2 terms there. So if I tell the people, Hispanics in New Mexico, I would love to get New Mexico, but you know, most whites know Gary Johnson, let's give it to Gary Johnson. And might as well, since he's next door, and I'm not in the ballot in Arizona, I was not able to qualify on this merry-go-round, it was there in the primary, let's give Arizona to Gary Johnson. So we just taking 16 votes away from the top. Then we says Colorado, that's 9 votes. Let's say we happen to have Jill Steinwich Green. Let's give Colorado. There's 22 candidates in Colorado. 22, it's the easiest state to qualify. So we give Colorado. Then we go next door, Utah. What do we do with Utah? Well, Utah happens to be Mormon, the majority, and it's Mr. Evan McMillan happens to be, right now looks like he might even win Utah. So we basically put our effort into Utah. Nevada, 42% of Nevada happens to be Hispanic. I want Nevada. I happen to get 15,000 petitions in Nevada to be able to be in the ballot in Nevada. I got more petitions in Nevada than all the votes combined of Sanders and Hillary. The total votes that Nevada gave Sanders and Hillary was 13,000 votes. That's a disgrace. Why 13,000? Because they hid the caucuses. They committed more election fraud in Nevada, and the people in Nevada know about it. The people in Arizona know all what they did the day of election day. And the same thing happens all across the country. Then we go to Idaho. Maybe we give Idaho to McMillan, okay? Then Montana, I want Montana. Wyoming is up for grabs. Jill Steins happened to go to North Dakota and was fighting there for the Sioux tribe. Maybe we, even though we show here North Dakota in red, give that to Jill. I want to take Alaska. Alaska was very nice to me in the primary, in the caucus. They're beautiful people, they're independent. 70% voted for Bernie. They do not like Trump, they do not like Hillary. So I'll take Alaska. If we take this strategy, now all of a sudden we don't need to have 269 each. Hillary can come up to 260, Trump can come up to 238, and then the rest is divided. And what happens at that moment is now the House wins, America wins, the world wins. Because now we throw this up to the House of Representatives, which each state has a vote. And who started it all? Montana.
I think I understand the strategy. I'm just wondering if the other candidates even know about it.
Well, I happened to be in Colorado 2 days ago in a debate. I was there with Darrell Castle. Darrell Castle can also take Idaho. And yes, I was there with Gloria La Riva. Gloria La Riva is in California. Chances of she winning in California slim to none. But it's a possibility. But the answer is yes, they are aware of it. They're aware of the strategy. Evan McMillan is very aware of the strategy because right now he's putting 100% of his efforts to Utah. So this strategy, as I'm speaking to you, is already in place in Utah. So if Evan continues his strategy in Utah, and I continue my strategy in Alaska and Montana, Gary will have to eventually understand, either by the news media or by logic, that the only state he can win is basically New Mexico. So you don't have to be a rocket scientist. That this is obvious. This is it's not even mathematics. It's basically simple arithmetic. So
what can you tell me about the Reform Party that would attract people to vote for a Reform Party candidate?
The Reform Party was created in 1996, and that was the year that Ross Perot created it. Ross Perot was a candidate in 1992, and he realized that in 1992, to be able to participate in the states, he needed to create a party. So he created the Reform Party. The glory days of the Reform Party was in 1996 in the 2000 elections. From there on, it went downhill when we did not have a leader. Today, the Reform Party still is in 4 states, only 4 states. And I was lucky enough that of the candidates they have had, which you have heard of Ralph Nader, Ross Perot, Buchanan, they happen to have chosen me for their candidate for the Reform Party. But they're only in 4 states. So technically,
In 1996, they were in 50 states. So I had to make an effort. The American Delta Party is a brand new party that started 8 months ago, because in certain states it's a lot easier to become a candidate as part of a party than an individual. But there are states that I happen to be there as an individual. There are states like Tennessee, whereby it's a lot easier to qualify as a party than it is as an individual. But there's other states it's vice versa. Hawaii.
What does the party stand for? What's
Which party? The Reform Party?
well, I would think they would both be similar since you've got them.
Well, let me put it in perspective. If you read the bylaws of the Democratic Party, the bylaws of the Republican Party, the Reform Party, they're almost identical. It's almost like they're cookie cutters. What has happened is that the Republican Party has now today gotten to the extreme right. The Democrats have now gotten to the extreme left. And they all started in the middle. 20% are now extreme right, 20% is now extreme left. I'm going for the 60% in the middle that represents most of you and represents me. I'm going for the middle. I'm trying to somebody that basically is able to have common decency, has respect for the human being, and has logic, and happens to understand that what America needs, number one, is education, number two is jobs, and number three is healthcare. The Constitution says that we should defend America, and I'm going to defend it until my last drop of blood. It does not say we have to go pick up wars and we're not wanted. It does not say is to go try to change dictators. And by the way, if we take a look at our track record of which dictators we support or which dictators we remove, we have not done a good job. It does not say let's take American lives and send them all over the world and make sure that when they come home, nobody cares for them because they fought a war that nobody cared about. We were not very proud of what happened in Vietnam. We're not very happy at what happened in Afghanistan. Of course, we do support the people that fought the First War, World War, or the Second, or the Korean War. But take a look at what a disaster we made in the last, 30 years. It's horrible. So the answer is, what do I stand? I stand for common sense. I stand for logic. I stand for human decency, and I stand for, more important, education. How can we have somebody say there that we're going to create a wall between California all the way to basically Louisiana? That wall is 1,954 miles long. Now, are we going to put a wall between Canada and the United States? Are we going to put a wall in the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean? The wall did not work in Canada. Excuse me, the wall did not work in China. The wall did not work in Germany. It didn't want to work here. So the question is, you have to have logical. You have to have a common sense.
Roque, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If your strategy is successful and you're able to take the election to the House, isn't it the top 3 electoral vote getters that are considered candidates in the House? And under your strategy, Gary Johnson would be the 3rd top getter because you will have ceded Arizona and New Mexico to him. So you are, in effect, by the strategy, ceding the presidency.
You took it to the full conclusion, but let's start from scratch. The answer is yes, the top 3 vote getters does. But for example, the chances of Gary Johnson getting Arizona is slim to none. Okay, this is part of the overall strategy. I believe that if Gary is lucky to get New Mexico, he's going to have 5 votes. Then if you take a look at Nevada, it's 6 votes. I did stay with Nevada. So if I happen to get Nevada with 6 votes, and I happen to get Montana with 3 votes, and I happen to get Alaska with 3 votes, I will have a total of 12 electoral votes. So I'm shooting for Alaska, Nevada, and Montana. There's no question in my mind that Utah, with 6 votes, is going to go to heaven, or at least I hope it does, because we need to show the world that Utah wants somebody else besides red and blue. In Colorado, to be honest with you, it's a complete nightmare, because there's currently 22 candidates. 22 candidates is a disgrace. You cannot have people go to 22 candidates. And of course, Colorado, even though here I put it brown and I would like to have it to Jill Stein, the chances of Jill Stein taking Colorado is slim to none. So from all this, and maybe Jill Stein might, if she was working, she could technically get North Dakota. So basically, the person that would have the most votes, as far as I can see today, would be Utah. Utah with Evan getting 6 votes.
So I would need to have more than Montana. Now, assuming for conversation's sake, I get Montana, Evan does not get Utah, then we would need a miracle. So both of them get to 269, 269. So just Montana and 269, 269, that's 1 in a billion. But if we take 6 away in Utah, 6 away in Nevada, 6 and 6 is 12 and 3 is 15. Now you have 15 votes. Now there's a chance that none of them can get to 270. So this, for the strategy to work, we need Utah, Nevada, and Montana. And then we throw our friends in Alaska, in Sitka, in Juneau, in Anchorage. Now we also no longer have 15, we now have 18.
So are you making appearances in Nevada and Alaska also?
I worked very, very hard in Alaska. I was there in the primary. Put a lot of energy in Alaska. People in Alaska know me. Over 70% voted for Bernie. 70% voted for me. They do not like Hillary in Alaska. So they know I'm there. They know I'm the ballot. They know, a lot of independents were not able to vote for me because in the primary, they were only the Democrats were able to vote for me. I'm also making a huge effort in Florida, but the chances of winning Florida, New York, or California is probably 1 in a million. So, but we need to make an effort because even if we lose this battle, let's not lose the war, because 4 years from now, 2020 comes so fast. So the question is, you need to take a look beyond this. Montana needs to make a mark. This is an opportunity for them to mark today. And maybe I might be wrong and we cannot get a tie. Maybe Hillary might get lucky and she win. If Hillary wins Florida, it's all over. If Hillary wins Ohio, it's all over. So right now you'll see Hillary doing whole her effort for 3 states, North Carolina, Ohio, and Florida. These are the 3 states, Ohio, North Carolina, and Florida, are going to be fought. Iowa could be an interesting change. Iowa can go either way. But if Iowa goes blue, my strategy won't work. And if it works, there's got to be, this is almost a concentrated effort. But assuming I'm correct, then imagine the power of Montana. Even, let me give you worst case scenario. Hillary gets 280 votes. Montana went in the world for in 2016 picking somebody else besides red and blue. You guys will be famous.
So no, if you don't have any stops in Nevada or Alaska planned for the coming, the next week or so until Election Day, I'm interested, I'm a little curious about why you chose to come to Montana, which has, you haven't laid in the groundwork for, like Alaska. There's not a significant Hispanic population like Nevada. So why, in your strategy, why Montana?
It's very simple. Montana are 3 thinkers. They like the environment, they like the outdoors, and they have always decided they will either go blue or blow red, and they keep changing depending on who the person happens to be. So they're independent thinkers. 2, I'm here. The other candidates are not. Nevada, I worked Nevada very, very well. People know me very well in Nevada. I got 15,000 petitions in Nevada. I worked the primary very, very well, and everybody saw how they basically stole the caucus from us in Nevada. But at the same token, where was the last debate? It happened to be in Nevada. So there was so much media attention in Nevada, it's not even funny. Now, my strategy in Nevada happens to be with direct mail. My strategy in Nevada happens to be with media, and more important, with social media. So I'm very, very strong in Nevada, and I want to basically make a huge surprise in Nevada. The same thing I'm doing with robocalls and with text messages, both in Montana, Nevada, and Arizona, New Mexico, and Alaska. So the answer is yes, I'm in there. Now, yesterday, I happened to be in Utah. Yesterday morning, I happened to be in California. This afternoon, I'll be in Texas. And tomorrow, I'll be in Florida. So the answer is yes, I'm going to different states. I am going to media. I happen to know, I don't know if you were aware, 3 days ago, I was in Colorado. And there was a debate in Colorado done by Free and Equal. We have Darrell Castle. Darrell Castle has a good chance of maybe taking Idaho, okay? But we need to come up with a strategy. But the answer is yes. I'm working my buns off in Nevada. I'm working my buns off in Australia and Montana. Those are the 3 states I really want to win. But I also want to make sure that I make a dent in New Mexico and in Florida and in California. Well, yeah, go ahead.
So just to follow that train of thought. So in keeping with your strategy when you were in Utah and Colorado, did you publicly tell the audience or the people assembled to vote for Evan McMullen in Utah and Joe Stein in Colorado?
Yes, I did. When I was in Colorado at the national debate, I announced the debate, and we had Free and Equal, I believe, had over 40 million people looking at the Free and Equal. It was also, as we were speaking, it was something called I Side With. That basically, I don't know if you were aware, but when Hillary and Trump were in the debate in Nevada, and the one before that, I was at the debate also. Every question that was asked to Trump and to Hillary, I answered. And it was viewed by over 60 million people that saw my answers. And I want to let you know that after the polls came in, I won 78% of the people agreed with my answers. Hillary came out at 62 and Trump came out at 30. So I was in debate. You did not see me physically on TV, but the people that were willing to read the answers, I answered every single question in the last 2 debates. So I have made my presence. Now the question is, have I gotten a fair deal by being in the 2 debates? The answer is no. Neither did Gary Johnson. Did the press, with the exception of the ones here in beautiful Montana, have they given me a fair shake? The answer is no. But that's neither here. That's history. I cannot complain about what has happened in the past. All I can do is what's going to happen in the future. And right now, I'm young enough. I do not believe Trump is going to run for re-election, assuming he wins in 4 years, and even if he does, he's not going to win. I do not believe Hillary will run for re-election, and even if she does, I think she will be a one-term president. I'm still young enough that in 2020, I will make a good stab at this thing. But it takes groundwork. It takes me knowing you one by one. It takes you looking me in the eyes. It takes you looking at my questions, or excuse me, your questions, my answers. And it's, I got you thinking. I got you thinking because, it might be a long shot, but when you go to the horse races, they do come in once in a while.
How old are you?
Ooh, I just turned my birth. If you would have asked me this a month ago, I was 61, but now I'm 62. I was younger a month ago. But compared to the 2 top front runners, I'm a little kitten. Or a puppy, depending on what's your favorite, if you're going like a cat or a dog. You ready for a question?
I was just curious, in short, how would you summarize the difference between you and the other 2 candidates? Why should someone vote for you instead of them?
Very simple. Hillary has been in public office all her life. Whatever changes she was going to do as First Lady when in the Clinton administration, whatever changes she was to do as U.S. Senate, whatever changes she was going to do as Secretary of State, she would have done so. And today, we got absolutely nothing, with the exception for us to know that all she focused was on using public expense to get money for her foundation. And she does not know, she has not driven a car, I understand, for over 20 years. She has not opened a door for the last 20 years. Secret Service says she's not polite, okay? So the question is, what are we going to do? We're going to get the same thing for 4 more years. And then we take a look at Trump. Okay, he's successful. Yes, he has made some money. And he's been basically has created that. But he's arrogant. He's not polite. He insults all the minorities. He has very, very short-tempered. Is that the person we want to be able to basically lead, that he basically speaks before he thinks? I do not believe. I think he's the worst thing that could happen to all the minorities. I think he would be the worst thing that would happen because he only cares about himself, himself, and himself. So the 2 people there on the front 2 tickets are completely 100% egotistic. They only think about themselves. And my point is, I'm first myself, and then second, I want to make sure that I'm there for the people. Because without the people, you cannot govern a society without them. And I cannot lead this nation or anybody else if we don't start with one by one. And first, I would like to get your vote. After yours, I would like to get your family's votes, and hopefully your neighbors, and eventually all the people that can in Montana.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So did you like my strategy? It's at least let me ask, it's called a Hail Mary. Maybe we should change it and still call it the Rocky strategy. Say this is the Hail Mary strategy. Corin, do you think this? If American media would give this 10% of the time versus talking about Dumb and Dumber, don't you think it would work? But I'll tell you what, you guys have between you guys can control the outcome of the attack. You do. You put your 5%, he puts his 3%, he puts his 6%, and we all put our 2 cents in. Don't you think people want to change? I mean, I have not talked to the taxi driver, to the Uber driver. They, honest to God,
Thank you.
Nobody can tell you 12 days from election they do not like red or blue. They hate the two options. I don't know if you agree with me. I mean, just talk to anybody. This is, we cannot believe we're being saddled with these two options. Sir, I will see you again. I'm positive for 220 will be a lot different. At that moment, I will never forget your face or your memory or your questions. Okay, I have at least today, my memory is almost perfect. So it's.
Appreciate you putting this on. Glad to. It's a very interesting strategy. Glad to learn a little bit more
But
about
think about it. Think about it. Nobody's here. Now, if you see all of a sudden that you see a lot of money being poured by the Democrats or by the Republicans, the only reason is because they're afraid. In Montana.
it. Well, we'll see.
Okay?
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much.